Hi everyone, I have a voice, yay! Sorry my video is so late. I had like literally no voice last night. So I'm gonna try and keep this video short as well, just because it's still a bit. So this week we're doing feminism in the media because yay, we were on TV and it was very exciting, and we want to talk about that. And if you haven't watched it, I've put the links below. So go watch it now and then come back here. Okay, go. Cool. So about our telliness, I was actually really nicely surprised at how it all went, and how we weren't portrayed like totally horrendously, and I thought it was a really decent programme. We weren't made into these sort of caricatures of feminists, we weren't shamed for our hairiness, and the only thing I think that was the problem was that they didn't emphasise the point in that it's okay to shave, and we weren't gonna shame people for that. Obviously, like, they did so much filming and they cut out a lot, and you know, it was a short program, and there's a lot they couldn't include, but I just felt like it kind of put across maybe this idea that we're in this like exclusive hairy club, and that no one can join unless you don't shave, and that we kind of shame feminists who do shave or whatever, which is just completely not the case. Aside from the show, I think I want to look at feminism and the media kind of more generally. I think that feminism tends to get largely ignored by the mass media, which is why it was so brilliant that the BBC actually wanted us to be on their show. And you know, this serves to sort of perpetrate the idea that feminists aren't really sort of necessary, that sexism doesn't really exist anymore, that, you know, feminists are so few and far between, and that they're relics of like a time gone by, and I think by sort of ignoring us, it kind of restricts the movement. It makes it harder for people to become aware of feminism and to get involved. If you don't see it on TV and the mass media, you kind of can forget it exists, I guess. So feminism is a thing of the internet. I think it's a lot more accessible online these days, which is really good. And I'm not going to do a whole massive critique of fourth wave feminism or the social justice movement or online feminism or any of that, because I could be here forever, but I think it's just really interesting how the movement uses this media so much, yet you see barely any feminists on the television or on the radio or in newspapers. It's kind of restricted to the internet, so I don't know, I guess that feels like that feels unfair in a way that I'm saying that, because, you know, I'll read Laurie Penny in the Independent, or I'll see Rihanna on TV doing interviews and stuff like that, and you know, they exist, but I think the very few feminist icons that you see in the mass media are kind of, no one ever kind of really sort of actually states the fact that, you know, they are feminist or their ideals are feminist. The whole concept of feminism is ignored, and it kind of seems like they're saying that this opinion held by this person is, oh, it's just their opinion, it doesn't actually belong to a whole mass movement, which of course it does. So I think there's that, where feminism kind of gets ignored but the feminist ideals are shown, or there's just the whole straw feminist trope, which I'll link to a video done by Anita Sarkeesian on that actually, which is very interesting. I think there's a lot to be said about the portrayals of feminist ideals in the media, even if they're not labelled as feminist. I think there's so much of this kind of, oh, we've got past sexism now, like, we're all super liberated, and oh, we're all human, kumbaya shit, that it's almost as if people are deliberately ignoring sexism and patriarchal forces because it's easier for us to forget about it. So when you do see sort of feminist ideals presented in the media, it's just like, yes, someone gets it, that there's still things to fight for, there's still a struggle going on, and yes, people aren't ignoring it all the time, even if they're not particularly calling it feminism, because I know that obviously there are some problems, there are lots of problems with the idea of feminism, and a lot of people won't identify as a feminist. So I did say I'm going to keep it short, but basically my gist of my video today is, yay, more representations of feminists in mass media, yay, actually call them feminists or womanists or whatever they decide to identify as, and actually recognise that they come as part of a movement, and recognise that patriarchy and patriarchal forces and misogyny and sexism still exists, and thank you BBC for not screwing us up completely. Yay.